Many know Roy as a Cy Young winner, future Hall of Famer, one of the best pitchers to ever pitch in the game of baseball. We know Roy as a person, as a caring husband who loved his wife Brandy. He loved his two boys tremendously. He coached their baseball teams. I can tell you when he spoke of his family, he spoke with pride.
He died doing what he loved, flying his own plane. Former MLB pitcher Roy Halladay was killed in a plane crash off the coast of Pasco County this afternoon. He was just 40 years old. His
Icon A5 light sport aircraft crashed a quarter-mile west of Newport Richey around noontime today.
10 News reporter Josh Sidorowicz is live in Halladay. Josh, this was difficult for Sheriff Nacco to share. Halladay, as you heard him say, was a friend. He also says there were no Mayday calls, no calls for help.
Courtney, that is correct. That was one of the few key pieces of information we've been able to get here so far. Yeah, no Mayday call leading up to this crash that happened. Let's set up the timeline for you on this. It was around noon today that the Pasco County Sheriff said that a 911 call came in from a resident who apparently saw the plane starting to go down. As for the details of that 911 call, as for exactly what the eyewitness accounts were, the Pasco County Sheriff saying that was not information that they were privy to, at least right now, but we do know that it was someone on the ground who apparently spotted that plane that appeared to be in distress and made that call. It wound up coming just off the coast, landing in the water just off the coast here in the Gulf. Just south of Gulf Harbor was where the Pasco County Sheriff said it ultimately wound up, in only about 6 feet of water, and that is key. It was a very shallow mangrove area there in the Gulf, and initially we were told that that posed a bit of some difficulty for rescuers in trying to get to the wreckage at first. They had to bring in some smaller sort of dinghy-type boats to get close to that wreckage because it was so shallow. Few key things to know. You said, yes, no Mayday call. We also know that that two-seat plane, despite it being a two-seat plane, that Icon A5, the sheriff said Halladay was the only person who was on board this plane at the time that it crashed. And to the point that you made, something that you don't see very often in these types of situations in briefings from law enforcement, how extremely emotional Pasco County Sheriff got here, really taking the time to express just how integral he believed Halladay had been and was in this community for so many years, not just to the community, but to the sheriff's office, who, I mean, simply adored this man. The sheriff calling Halladay a good friend with a heart of gold, the most down-to-earth person you would ever meet, who loved to fly and loved his family. Listen.
He was a part of our sheriff's office. His kids went to school with some of our kids. He was there whenever we needed him. He was probably one of the most humble human beings you'll ever meet. For somebody who won 2 Cy Youngs, as I said, one of the greatest pitchers in baseball, he would walk in a room as if he was just anybody. Didn't matter who he met. He was kind, generous.
Back here live, so clearly leaving an impression, and is evident just from the outpouring we've already seen on social media about that. And the sheriff really begging, pleading with people to give Halladay's family in the area here their space, their privacy. Now, as for where this investigation goes from here, any further inquiries we might have on details of where this plane was taking off from, where it was headed to, flight plans, anything of that nature, the Pasco County Sheriff says that is now up to the NTSB to release. They are picking up the investigation from here. Pasco County Sheriff said that NTSB officials are en route to this area right now to assess the scene, assess the damage, and until they can arrive, Pasco County Sheriff will actually have deputies out there in the water to sort of stand guard, if you will, on that wreckage so that it is not disturbed then until those NTSB officials can arrive here and retrieve it from the water. And the Pasco County Sheriff saying, do not treat this as a spectator sport here. They discourage people from even thinking about coming out to the area to try to get a look for themselves. But really, just a tough day, and what the sheriff said, I think, best. News, once it was finally confirmed that it was Roy Halladay, proving to be the worst case scenario here in Pasco County. Back to you.
Roy Halladay will be remembered as arguably one of the best pitchers ever to play the game.
He was revered, Rich. I mean, absolutely revered. Beloved on the field for his decade of dominance and adored off of it for being just one of the greatest guys on the planet. I mean, this is somebody who flew rescue dogs from Alabama here to Florida. to get them proper medical attention. That's the kind of guy that he was. In the sports world, he's going to be remembered as one of baseball's most fierce pitchers.